Okay, hello everyone. How was your weekend? I hope you had a beautiful week. If the week wasn't good enough, it is high time for you to re-strategize, replan, do a lot of rethinking and restructuring. And with the help of God, you will get it right come next week. Okay, I'm going to play you a video right now. It's an extract from an interview Nyesom Wike did on China's TV. We're going to play the conclusive part of the interview. Watch and we'll talk about it.
I was spoke yesterday, and he told me, and I told him I was leaving that night to come back, and he told me he was leaving this morning. So I can tell you, we believe by the grace of God, peace has come. And look at what the assembly did today to set the tone. You can see peace. You can say, look, we are prepared for the interests of the state. Let's move forward. The only thing I can always say, I was watching on television today, is that there are people who are natural crisis builders, who think that they can only benefit when there's crisis. If, for us, for example, if we don't want this state of emergency to be lifted, we would have done one or two things to make sure that, no, let the state of emergency continue. No, for the interest of the state. Having this.
Instead of be sleep, let it be hate, let it degrade, let it be deep. Some others should weep, some others should keep the memory of the way that I died. Maybe.
Please try and support us by subscribing. You should be subscribing. Subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Do way to support us the best way you can. Okay, now, that extra, but before I flitter the video you just watched, I want to talk about godfatherism. Using the case study of what happened to Fubara and what transpired between Nyesom Wike and Fubara. But let's do a recap of the incident that happened in Rivers State. In March 18, 2025, a state of emergency was declared in Rivers State, imposed by the President Bola Tinubu, who imposed the state of emergency declaration in Rivers State after the impeachment of Governor Fubara for gross misconduct. So many persons said it was unconstitutional for the president to impose the state of emergency in Rivers State. Like, why did he have to do that? But we're also late to forget that the governor Fubara did a lot of things that were not favorable to him. He shot himself on the leg, and that affected him, and also probably would also affected his political career. Now, that by the wayside, September 17, 2025, we've also seen the lifting of the state of emergency that was declared by the president. And September 18th, the governor went back to the governor's house and began a process of laying out a lot of considerations and compromise he must have fought to based on his action prior to what befall the Rivers State people. And we discovered also, based on the interview that the governor has given in regards to the peace agreement he signed with his predecessor, who also happens to be his godfather, Nyesom Wike, that it wasn't favorable to him. He just needed to sign those peace agreements just because he needed to get back to seat and see what he can do to bring the dividends of democracy to the Rivers State people. And I would blame Fubara in so many ways and for so many reasons, which I'm going to state as I try to float on the surface of godfatherism. I just want to talk about him, so I'll float on the surface. I don't want to dig deep into the so many disadvantages that are flawed when this godfatherism becomes the main beck and call in the Nigeria political system. Because now, what really happened to why was the state emergency declared? What happened to the impeachment? What did the governor did that was seen as gross misconduct, which happens to be the backing that favors the federal government on declaring state of emergency in a state? One is when the government or they act or they follow ways when not the constitutional. Like we know in Rivers State, the legislative arms and the judiciary arms close up. And because they close up, the executive arm has no other ways to carry out the necessity of his responsibility. And that affected Fubara. And that's also one of the backing that gave the federal government the reasons to declare the state of emergency in the Rivers State. So there was a constitutional backing to some point. Although we know say our constitution gets so many loopholes, the volatility in our constitution always favor those in terms of affair, because there are always loopholes in our constitution. So I'm happy for the Rivers State people. Applaud the say to the Rivers State people for, I think maybe Fubara go try to undo so many things right because of the short time when he gets. Our 6 months have been taken away from his 4 years. And also we cannot rule. These are hypotheses I'm going to be drawing up also today, because I feel that the peace agreement or what will befall Fubara will be same thing, or we have a lot of similarities with what before Ambode Lagos. Fubara end up becoming just a single term governor. There's every possibility that is what is at stake. Because one thing we've seen over time with Nyesom Wike, I've did a lot of episodes on Nyesom Wike, talked about his personality, I've talked about his behavior, I've tried to consider the kind of politics and ideology Nyesom Wike floats on and floats with. And it has made me to know one or two things about Nyesom Wike. But one thing when everybody go agree with me is Nyesom Wike not they quickly forgive. I don't know if he even they forgive anybody. We could see how that play out in his relationship with Obaseki. Obaseki if one's also consider Obaseki now feel say that go be the, because there's so many things to talk about Fubara flaws. So many things to talk about Fubara flaws. Because if Fubara consider what it before Lambode and Ngige for Anambra State, it would have laid back a bit or tried to gain popularity and gain a lot of footing before he go embark on what he needs to embark to break the relationship between him and his godfather. Because I believe say everything was documented. The thing I also found out about Nyesom Wike is he always try to stand on the point of him being the victim. They always play this victimization game. He's very good at it. That if I'm acting because you try to play on my intelligence. He did that with Obaseki. He has always done that with everyone who has issues with him. Always done that. And when you look at it to some point, you just say it be like say they want to take advantage on him. We see this relationship with Obaseki, and he told Obaseki come out. Nyesom Wike came out and said, Obaseki brought Iceland to me, and I told him to his face that I'm not going to support him. And he did everything possible to make. I believe these are people who call the shot. We will not rule out Nyesom Wike's popularity for Nigeria and his power and his influence. We see how that played out in Rivers State. The state of emergency was a personal display that has affected millions in Rivers State. It is obvious. It is obvious to note that when two elephants fight, who suffers? The grass. The people are the grasses at the end of the day. Now we suffer the pain of the decisions of people when we put for positions. Now we suffer the pain. And we cannot rule the fact that Nyesom Wike for now gets so many influence on the presidency. Because one way or the other, they favor the president. The favorite president is here. Because look at now. For everyone who don't get position under this administration, they've done one thing, which you will see as a similarity or a commonality with every one of them. The camp. You must decamp. You must pay allegiance to my party. You must come in first. Nyesom Wike na be the only politicians when they for opposition party and they call shots for this administration. Nyesom Wike na be the only person calls the shots in the affairs in PDP, which is an opposition party to the APC, and is working an influential position in the APC administration. That's to tell you the kind of mind game, the kind of person Nyesom Wike be his characterization. You cannot see. There are so many things you can call him out for, which I really, in as much as I like him to some point, because Nyesom Wike is high in conscientiousness, and people when they're high in conscientiousness, they always want to show proof. They always want to show results. So Nyesom Wike na person when we say any position when he want to show say he dey try. In as much as they do all the bad things when they do, one just show say they try. That's the kind of person I think he is. That is his political ideology. In as much as I take what I need to take for my personal use, I want to do well to also show say I did do well. That is the kind of game he plays. Now going back to why I made a lot of assumptions to state that Fubara has to be blamed in the kind of game he played and the kind of step he took, because you be there like foul. You don't do barely few months before you take that kind of stand. You never stand. You not dey footed enough to feel the cut shot. The shot when you saw the kind game when Nyesom Wike played during the election time, when he decamp, when he decided to support Tinubu, how he supported Tinubu by doing everything possible for Rivers State to give APC the needed votes. You saw these games he played. You saw how he played so many games in bringing you in, because normally without the influence and the power and the funds spent by Nyesom Wike, Fubara cannot win Rivers State. It is clear. It is glaring. We cannot rule that out. You also saw the consideration on how every House of Assembly members na input for there. They are his boys. You don't know say you need to get a strong footing before you need to play your game, because politics is a game. But now, what has he done to himself? He has shot himself on his leg, because now any decision he want to take, maybe before now there are decisions he can take, but now any decisions he want to take, he must seek the acknowledgement of Nyesom Wike. He's not a full puppet, and as he don't fuck up, there's every chance he not go do second tenor. There's high chance he will not do second tenor. I can tell you, I feel so. But all this are just assumptions and hypotheses I'm throwing out there, looking at the facts and looking at the eventualities where it don't place is the state of emergency declared in Rivers State since his impeachment. Where did he messed up? Because now he has also learned a great lessons that everyone, when they voice out, they cry out, they support, they throw weight on him to do and take the move and cutting and breaking up from his godfather, who is also a predecessor, who is one who sponsored and put him there. He has seen how these voices were silent and how these voices betrayed him. Then the major went stand when he was going all out with his godfather. Now 9 or 9 days right around them now. These are lessons he would have learned. He would have watched this situation that happened with Ngige. Ngige had issues with his godfather, Chris Oba. And Ngige was locked up. They lock Ngige for government house. Inside government, a governor when they lock for inside government house. That's a story for another day. A governor, when they kidnap, when a governor, a city governor, they kidnap and come out. So they kidnap and come out from government house. He would have studied that. He would have also studied what happened to Ambode. Ambode tried to break away from Tinubu. And one thing I have also observed, which I think the Rivers state of emergency had to play out, because President Tinubu is also a godfather to so many state governors. He wants to also use this scenario, this situation, as a deterrent to many. Say, be warned. Don't try this thing with me. Don't play this kind of game. For anyone not seeing this idea, for anyone who have these notions, anyone who have this intention, you want to break out. You don't want to pay your allegiance. You don't want to play your own part of the bargain. You don't want to fulfill your own side of the bargain. You want to play smart. Be warned. So this Fubara situation had to play out, because the President Tinubu administration, without they get small fracas before then. Some governors not they wave small. But after this situation played out in Rivers State, everybody don't hold his stand. In short, that scenario gave room for the numbers of the campaign that happened. The numbers of the campaign. Our governors, they decamped, they joined APC. Fubara needed to go back and lick his vomit. Go back and plead and beg. And now a proper agreement was made. These are the things you would do. See your power limitation. And I believe also, aside his own agreement, they don't say agree for one side, say this guy no go, no, take him away, no go do him. And this scenario, this situation that happened to Fubara might end up destroying his political career. We don't see how that has played out. The only person when Duffy gets more hold, maybe Obase can be the only person when Godfather not really gets influence under a second tenor. And we saw how Wike backing, the anchoring of Wike at the back of Obaseki, gave Obaseki edge to fight his godfather. Now Wike still stand there. And we saw how when they had issues, how Wike also came all out to make sure that whoever Obaseki brought out, even in as much as that person might end up being the best for the people, that would have done a lot and created a lot of changes, that would have propagated a lot of changes in Edo State. We've seen how, because of personal gain, because of egocentric behavior, he has made sure they deprive such development. And in the deprivation of such development is affecting the people of Edo State right now. Because they know the 2 points, it's not they look outside the box. It has to be streamlined to only what they want, themselves. If you also see the influence Wike had, you see that despite the call out, when they call out for the documentation when he don't show, say he don't give lands to his sons, still yet nothing. It just trend, they don't sweep under the carpet already. Nothing. That should tell you the influence when Wike gets for this present administration. I think the evil influence Wike had right now, the vice president not get such influence. He not get such influence. Godfatherism in the Nigeria system is a terrible political ideology because it deprive Nigerians of the best. Because Godfather, when they call the shots, they consider only his own personal gain, not what will favor the people. See how the states, when Godfathers don't call the shots, how would you see how the states they messed up? The Godfatherism ideology in Nigeria needs to be dealt with because they favor Nigerians. It's not favoring Nigerians. It would have favored Nigeria. If we consider the Edo State election, what has happened, the evidence that came out to show that there are a lot of flaws in the Edo State election that would have warranted a re-election. So at most, more do re-election for all this many evidence when they both audio, both video, both documentation to shows, but yet it is that time. And at the end of the day, I always go back to at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the issue regarding the changing the status quo in Nigeria falls back to the people. It always falls back to the people because the people holds the power. When it comes to democracy, no matter how they display them, we know the system right now they like authoritarianism because of how the element, those when the authority, they act like a dictator. They do anything that pleases them, but in as much as we see all these elements they display for this our system, this is a democratic system. This is the democratic system. See the transition when it happened since 1999 to this point. Once you do your 8 years, you come. Nobody don't want, and nobody don't try him. Person whenever think him, you see what played around him. You can't try it. Once you do at most your 8 years with enough rigging and everything, when you do, you are out of the game. So we still say democracy is strong for Nigeria. It means and democracy favors the people. It is just that the people sometimes do not realize the power they hold. The power you hold is your vote. I believe maybe this time, 2027, Nigeria not going to still fall into Nigeria not go fall into that ideology of it has to be me. It has to be me in the sense that I have to consider a lot of elements. I have to consider a lot of sentiments into this, my choice. I have to consider the person is from a tribe. I have to consider the person, now my religion they come from. I have to consider a lot of things. If we rule those things out when they create division among us, we discover say we will end up picking the right people. When go feed, they try to find solution for the many problems when Nigeria they go through. Because the many problems when Nigerians they go through right now, it's not going to take 1 or 2 years or 1 tenure to be able to scale us throughout all this problem. It is very, very impossible. Anybody want to tell you say we achieve much in 1 tenure is lying to you. Is just lying to you. Just only set up the foundation of solution. It's going to take more than 4 years because every place, every sector of the economy, every side of this government, of this Nigerian government is faulty. It's faulty to the foundation. It means you have to do a lot of uprooting before you do a replanting. So 4 years cannot do a lot of uprooting. How you want to uproot the bureaucracy between 4 years? How is it possible? It's not going to be possible. So for us to get it right, Nigerians need to get it right. We have to get it right come 2027. We need to do everything possible to reduce a lot of mistakes and lay out all of our differences and begin to pay consideration into picking the right persons. And the right persons has to come with somebody when we consider go favor not just us but our children. We have to put consideration into that point. We have to consider and reach like that. See, the person when I go put now, and I go determine which how things go play out for my kids to come. Because when Nigeria they go like this now, the way Nigeria just they play out like this. When we say no matter how you work hard, it be like say they work hard. The way things they play out like this. A time will come when we say you don't really give up before you begin to the start up. It already they play out already. If people go finish school, they don't feel they get, then there's no hope of having a job. There's no hope of having a job. You just want to go school, may not be like say you don't go school. There's nothing you will hold as a gratification to show say this is the reason why I went to school, or this is what I'm doing. This is the evidence of my many years in the institution. No evidence go there. How many graduates they come out every year for Nigeria? How many jobs they are available? How many jobs they are available for Nigerians? And it falls back to Nigeria. It always falls back to us. It always falls back to us. It always falls back to us. We have to get it right. Everything boils down to we getting it right. You know, guy want to weave the story. Now everything means we have to get it right. Self-realization, self-responsibility, taking up our responsibility, owning up to our mistakes. We are bound to make mistakes. Now, normal thing to make mistake. Mistake might be the experience where you need to get to avoid making the same mistakes. So you need to make mistakes sometimes. Mistakes is the process. That is how you gain experience. But now when you come make such mistakes again and again and again, I go show your level of foolishness. Because you are supposed to learn from mistakes and do everything possible for such mistakes not to repeat itself. We made a mistake in 2023. We have to do everything possible for such mistake not to repeat itself in 2027. It is a collective responsibility. It is a responsibility that is not tied to one person. It is a collective responsibility. Everybody needs to play his own part. And you have to play your own part right. You have to play your own part right. So at the end of the day, the food go done well. And when the food done, it go sweet well for people to chop well. Okay, that's just my take on the issue between Fubara and Nyesom Wike. And that's just all for this week. Peace out.
Yeah, instead it be them, let it be me. Since I will die, inevitably, then let it be, that it be said, when I am dead. Some other was free, some other was fed, some other not me, was able to see that long as we live inside of a country where no one is safe, no one is safe. We only evade, try to escape the imminent doom, but closer the date looms. It comes for all. If we must go, then at least when we fall, when we're